Okay, let's move on, shall we?
Let's.
To what's. I feel like I want to save dating and disability to the
Yeah,
second half because I feel like we
It's a
could
lot.
spend. I don't want to skimp on it. So how about we talk about? Would you like to talk about storytelling? Your storytelling
Yeah.
stuff?
So we've actually, so it's called Tell Me Something Good, and it's a live, almost monthly storytelling event that's
Yeah.
been going on for over 4 years now.
Yeah.
Myself and Samantha Fraser, who is she's done sex blogging. She's a sex and relationship coach. She does.
Another
she
person.
wrote a book about not. I'm like, you wrote the book, not the book, but at least a book on
Yeah.
non-monogamy. So
Oh.
whenever I'm razzing her about her non-monogamy experiences, I can be like, you
wrote
wrote a
the
book.
You wrote the book on it.
Yeah. It has work pages. God. So she's wonderful, and she does all sorts of things. She also runs the Playground Conference, which is
Great. Yes.
just happened at the end of February, and
Yeah.
it's a sexuality and kind of its intersections event. 3 days.
Which you spoke at. You did a couple
did
lectures, right?
6.
6.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's really fun. But anyways, we started this just on
Mm-hmm.
a lark because I had recently been to New York and saw Dixie Delatour's body storytelling.
Oh, Body,
And I
yes.
was like, it'd be so cool to do something like this in Toronto.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I did a little check-in, and I also found that, okay, this is like... This happens in a lot of places under a lot of different names, so it's not
Yeah.
an original idea that I would be
To have a
co-opting.
storytelling show. No.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's not like a sex-oriented storytelling show. There
Yeah.
are less, but there's still a fair amount.
Yeah.
And this was like late January,
Mm-hmm.
and by early February, we had booked it. We did the first show at the Beaver, then we were at, it was a little too small, so we were at the Gladstone Hotel
Mm-hmm.
for a long time.
Now you're at Glad Day.
We're at Glad Day, yeah. We kind of
Bookshop.
had a shift. They took over their own events and realized, oh, we can just do our own stuff. We don't need other people
It can
to do
all be
it.
self-produced. Yeah.
Yeah, and that made sense.
you got evicted,
Yeah.
yep.
But at the same time, Glad Day Bookshop, which previously was on Yonge Street up on the 3rd floor, moved
Now it's
into...
a little cafe.
It's a cafe.
Lunch spot.
Yeah, it's like a bar,
Club at the
restaurant,
night.
club,
Yeah.
like also like reading venue. They do
Event
music.
space, yeah.
Glad Day does a RuPaul's Drag Race thing
Yep.
every week, so it's great.
Yeah. Drag queens while you're eating brunch.
Yeah, and it was just
Wicked.
it was a very appropriate space to do
Very much so.
storytelling, and we love it there. So we've been there now for, I guess, like, oh god, 2 years.
Nice.
Coming
Congratulations
up, like a year and a half,
again.
2 years. Yeah. So we've been doing it all in all for over 4 years.
I feel like I could just
Yeah.
congratulate you on all your things that you
Thank
do.
you. I'll take
Everything you
them.
mentioned, I'll just say congratulations.
All right.
What do you think the value of sexy storytelling, sex and sex-related storytelling is?
Well, actually, we had the opening. It sounds really fun to say the opening plenary.
The big opening.
Yeah, so we had a big opening plenary at Playground this year, and it was a bunch of people who were all involved in kind of different facets of storytelling. So Kate Sloan was on it,
Yep.
talking about the Dildorks.
Yep.
A friend of mine, Dane Stewart from Montreal, was in talking about his work doing kind of community oriented plays about sexuality with I do not remember the name, but like the Vagina Monologues or the Laramie Project, where they take real quotations and put it in. And we just kept talking about the fact that there isn't enough discussion about sexuality.
Yes.
And when it's discussed, it's often discussed by professionals.
And clinical.
Yes,
kind
or
of-
it's or just people who are like the sexperts, and you're not. I mean, also I'm not a big fan of that word, but you know,
from
they're
a place
yes,
of
and they're not the experts. But the truth is, like the storytelling we do, we just take names and put them in a hat, and so it's not curated. It's not people who've been
love
told in
it.
advance to come in and bring a story. We have general themes. We're pretty loosey goosey on them. Butt stuff is the one we've done 4 years in a row, and it's always a pleasure.
there are lots of stories to tell.
Yeah,
about butts.
the only thing that people ask for every year is
butt
more
stuff.
butt stuff.
More butts,
So,
please.
Yes.
Yep, thank you.
But yeah, we like giving that opportunity to people who maybe haven't talked about this with their friends, or they've talked about it with their friends, but they've never gone up and talked about it in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they've never done storytelling before, or maybe they are storytellers or comedians or writers, but they've never talked about sex before.
Mm-hmm.
So just giving that space. And so often we have people say, oh, well, I didn't think my name would be picked, and I didn't really prepare anything. And then they'll be like, let's go. And
then they get
tell
on
this
stage and
phenomenal
it's like-
story, and it's hilarious.
It's like they're possessed by the storytelling.
It is, and they're
demon.
funny, or they're touching.
Yeah.
As much as there's a lot of kind of like raunchy, funny,
Sure.
like 17 magazine, but like grown up. There's also a lot of things where they talk about feeling the permission to do something for the first time, exploring their sexuality, exploring their kink identity, exploring their gender identity, exploring their bodies. And yeah, sometimes they're really hot. Like sometimes they're very sexy.
Yes.
But then other times you're like, oh God.
You're like, I'm crying right now.
Yeah, I've cried. Like I've laughed, I've cried, I've cringed.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. So,
What do you think the value is of like hearing, like I get being on stage and talking about all that stuff, how that can be an amazing experience for the storyteller. What do you think
Yeah.
about the audience members hearing these stories?
Well, there are lots of people who come and never share stories, but come back month after month. And it's, I think to a certain extent, there's that feeling of recognition. So seeing somebody on stage who's maybe talking about something that is relevant to you, or maybe they're talking about a larger theme that feels applicable to your life. Kate Kenfield, who's like a sex educator, does a bunch of work on Tea and Empathy is one of her projects, and she came up with the concept of being a beacon of permission. So not necessarily doing all that much, except just letting somebody know you can do this. You're allowed to explore your sexuality.
Yeah.
You're allowed to feel good about your body, even if it's not normative. You're allowed to, engage with kink, and that doesn't make you a bad person. So
Yeah.
it's nice to just see. We have lots of different people telling different stories every single time, and even if all of them aren't relevant to you, one of them might have like a kernel of truth that you can apply to your life.
Totally,
Exactly.
totally. That's amazing.
It's so great.
It's so great. And we'll get you a chance to plug all your stuff at the end. But for now, what I'm going to do is plug. Oh!
I recognize this friend.
My two sponsors for this episode. First of all, we got this lovely little rosebud butt plug.
Very appropriate.
Come on. By Love Crafters. Love Crafters is an independent silicone artist here in Toronto. Her name is Shay. Hey, girl. First of all, Shay wants you to go to the Etsy shop to see all of her lovely, she has unicorn horn dildos. She has tentacle strap-on compatible dildos. She has dragon egg Benoit balls. Like, this shit is crazy, okay? It is geeky. It is kinky. It is fun, playful, non-intimidating. And that's what Shay and Love Crafters Toys is all about. So go to the Etsy shop first. And she also wants you to go to comeasyouare.com because she has a small selection of her toys there as well. And speaking of comeasyouare.com, if you don't know things about comeasyouare.com, you're missing out. This is the world's only worker-owned cooperative sex shop. They are online at comeasyouare.com. They're feminist, they're anti-capitalist, and they have they have amazing products that they're 100% backing behind because they are just more. They're more into giving knowledge and giving great products and being facilitators for better sex lives and better connections with people and including with yourself and your own sexuality over just like selling you shit. So that said, if you go to comeasyouare.com and you use the coupon code BEDPOST, that's BEDPOST, you can get 15% off your purchase. And, maybe you'll see one of these little babies up there and you want to buy it for 15% off. Go right ahead. And also, if you're in Canada and you make a purchase over $50, you're going to get free shipping. So come on. No brainer. Go to comeasyouare.com and check out Love Crafters' Etsy shop as well. So we're back with Claire A.H.
Hello again.
Hello. Okay. The first time I came across you was on Andrew Gurza's podcast, which at the time was Deliciously Disabled, but now it is Disability After Dark.
That's right.
So that's the first time I heard your story, your personal story with disability. Do you want to kind of go through that? Yeah, give us
the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I worked previously as a sex educator. I worked in kind of administration in the adult industry. So, and I wrote stuff about sex, and I started the storytelling night beforehand. So I was doing Sex City Radio beforehand, and I was doing a different podcast beforehand. So I was very involved in sexuality.
Yeah.
And I was also a burlesque dancer.
Ooh.
So yes, and I know that's something you know a lot about. So I have kind of taken a hiatus because I was very physically active, and I don't exactly know what happened. No one's able to tell exactly what happened, but I had two events that happened. The first